say to an average business that has $500,000 in property, you're talking about well over $1,000 increase in their property taxes. Number one. Number two, the mill levy doesn't just affect real estate, it affects personal property. So if you own a car and we increase the mill levy, your taxes go up on that car. If you own an RV, a motorcycle, a boat, of course, boats are gonna be going away pretty soon, but if you own any personal property, including cars, RVs, motorcycles, please understand that your property taxes are going to go up based on the mill levy we set. So I think it's always important that we remember that, Madam Chair, and thank you for recognizing me.
Sure.
Now, I would have one item I'd like to clarify. On the planning department, I heard that you wanted the total to be 330,000. Simon thought it was to be 50,000 more than 13. So I just want to clarify, that would be 331,794.
Okay.
So which is it?
Okay.
Okay.
And
I think it was adding on to, so the last number you said.
Okay, so it would be 50,000 more
I said
than-
50,000, but then
Okay.
It would be 50,000 on top of the 2013.
allocation.
Allocation.
Yeah.
Is that what you-
The motion was,
Okay.
was.
50,000.
The motion was 337,94. The discussion was the 50,000.
The intent was 50,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, the discussion was 50,000. I think it was just the dollar was off.
So 331,
794.
794. Okay,
That was just a clarification.
good. Just wanted to make sure that I got it right. Okay,
Okay.
now, I'm ready.
All right. And Tom Block is on his way, but he's stuck in traffic, so we'll need to wait for a little while. Commissioners, what do you want to do? Do you want to continue to work on this, or do you want to hear from any of the departments first, or how do you want to go about this?
I'd like to go back up to courts,
Okay.
start there. I'd like to
Do that.
finish off with the ones that we haven't touched on, and then maybe go back to some of the ones that we have.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Under courts, do we want to handle it as an aggregate like we did with Public Works and Parks and Recreation in the jail, or as a individual?
What's the aggregate? What's the
I
total
don't-
amount?
And I don't know if the courts have any input as to how they would like to handle it.
In court security, you know, I'll need to change that.
We have more management flexibility,
Yeah.
Judge. so.
I think
Yeah.
if you're doing just a straight percentage, one thing that we could say.
Judge Parrish, actually, could I have you come up here? I'm sorry.
The two positions that we currently have, the court IT positions that are county funded, those are just imperative that we have those two positions. So I would say that. So if there was
sorry.
gonna be a cut on each of those various parts of the
Items.
court budget, that one would be one that we would have difficulty dealing with. We're going to be converting to full court, hopefully sometime in 2013, and we need, and into 2014, and without that position, it would really cripple us in trying to make those changes. So that's one thing I would have to mention.
And Commissioners,
Yeah.
in, after putting forth my proposed budget and having discussions with our county counselor, who did some research and provided me with an attorney general opinion, it's upon approval of a budget for the court can spend the money in any manner it sees that it wishes to, up to the allotted amount. So I don't know that it really makes any difference in how it's made, and so, other than just for our own knowledge. But the district court can easily shift money from one category to another, because it's the district court.
But again, the requested amounts, you came in well under budget for 14 requests. So your 2013 amounts are more than the 14 requests, correct? Am I reading that right? Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
not
Yes.
a
Yes.
lot.
Yes.
Yes.
Of a
Mhm.
difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are
40
under, yeah.
44,000.
Or something, yeah.
Mhm.
It does not make any increase for appointed council
That's correct. No, in our budget.
in the budget.
And that would, we would have a difficult time doing that with cuts.
Mhm.
Their total for all the courts is 2,453,029. That includes the
That's the
court.
2013 amount.
Yes, that's the 2013 amount.
Could you say that again, Betty? I'm sorry.
$2,453,029.
Okay.
No, there's not,
No.
because that's under sheriff now. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's understandable. What about the grand jury?
I don't know if we resolved that. If, since there's going to be a grand jury going forward, I don't know that we resolved if that is where that expense is paid out of. If that's paid out of courts or if that is paid out of general expenses.
Statutorily, it says the general fund.
Well, general fund,
Yeah.
but
which
the
could
courts
be-
is under general fund.
Yeah.
So is the district attorney.
Right,
So
and the
I agree.
district attorney. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know that that's been determined where that, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, where that will be paid.
I think this year we just did out of general expense, because we had it budgeted. So that's kind of one allocation thing that we had to.
We did not include any additional for the grand jury when we submitted our budget.
Commissioners, in going through, if there was to be what in my opinion would be a needed adjustment to appointed council, it was an expense of about $180,000. And that would, it's been over 3 years, 4 years since there's been any adjustment to appointed council. Before that, appointed council had gone for 11 years with no change. So, the only difficulty that I have is, upon approval of a budget, the district court can determine that they want to give nothing to appointed council, some to appointed council, or less to appointed council. So,
And Commissioner Cook, I hear what
Yeah.
you're saying, but I'm going to find it hard to support additional funds for appointed council when we aren't going to be able to give raises to all of our employees.
That's correct.
and I completely appreciate that as well.
Yes.
So, do we have a motion on
Uh,
courts or?
Can we look at the 2014 request total?
Yeah,
As opposed to the 2013 amount reduced by 10%.
okay, okay, so so you want the 2014 request,
Correct.
okay?
And what 2013 minus 10% would be.
Oh, okay, okay. Is that right? Yeah. So, it would be $2,164,216.
Can you see that?
No, I can't.
Oh.
Okay, so,
Okay,
So-
the
So the 2014 request would be how much?
is $2,409,519.
Okay.
And then 10% of the 2013 budget
Yes.
is $245,303.
Okay.
So the combined, if you take the net of those, wrong way. It's, right, that's not what I had before, more, is it? Is that what I said? Yeah, $2,164,216 is what that would amount to.
That would be the 2013 minus 10%.
That's the 2014.
14 minus
Request is
10%.
2.4.
2014 minus 10% of 2013. Yeah.
What is 2013 minus 10% of 2013, I guess is
Okay.
0.90 times whatever.
2,207,726.
Okay, so 2,207,000 divides 2.4 million is the 2014 request.
This is the 2013 request times 90%.
Okay. And the 2014 request is 2,409,000.
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion that we set court funding at a total of $2,300,000.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer. Is there a second? We'll second that motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
Nay.
Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Cook dissenting.
Okay. 2,300,000 total.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, this is my.
Commissioners, are we then leaving it to the district
Discretion.
court
Mhm.
as to how that is allocated? Okay.
That's my understanding.
That's the implication.
Okay. Human Resources. The 2013 budget was $252,866.
Make a motion that Human Resources budget be $227,579.
There is a motion by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
227,000,
579, which is
okay.
10%, it's the 10% less in the 2013 budget.
But actually, wasn't the human resources budgeted for 2013 $252,000?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just making sure my numbers are,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, the spreadsheet's got some
Yeah.
All right.
screwy
Mm-hmm.
uh, cells. But
Yeah. The Health Agency.
Commissioners, I would move that we grant to the health agency the amount that was requested for 2014, which is $4,603,451.
Which is also the amount for 2013. They did not ask for an increase.
I will second that motion.
Well, and let's have discussion, because
Okay.
Commissioner Cook, in discussing Parks and Rec, brought up comparisons with Douglas and Sedgwick County. And I'm looking at Health Department for Shawnee County of 4.33%, Sedgwick County of 1.82%, and Douglas County 0%. I want to make a substitute motion that we give the health agency $4,143,106.
That number again?
$4,143,106, which is 2013 budget reduced by 10%.
And it would be a 500,000 less than the 2014 requested.
Well, 470,000, but you're close.
Yeah, I'm not an accountant.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Right now, it's split out on here between the health agency and then this other
Gatekeepers.
amount
Mm-hmm.
that says gatekeepers and other services.
Mm-hmm.
Do those need to remain separate?
Allison Alejo's health agency. I can tell you that 222,000 was actually used to be part of the SPE funds, and that was actually pulled out so that we didn't have to go through the application process with Community Resource Council, because it was kind of duplicative in nature.
Okay.
So you would like to keep it separate? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And Commissioner Archer, I would note that the other counties, much like the discussion with Parks and Rec, it's a little bit different than what it is in Shawnee County in how they deliver the services. But I do appreciate and agree that everything should be reexamined as to how we provide the services.
So there was an original motion to fund at that amount. Are you willing to amend that
I am.
motion to Commissioner Archer's substitute motion?
Yes.
And there was a second. All those in favor say aye.
And what is the amount
The
we're looking at?
4143,106.
Okay.
That's what I have. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Information technology and IT telephone.
Excuse me.
And we're not going to
sorry.
do
Is
anything
that
with
for
the
all of it, or is
Oh.
it, how about
Or
the?
We
gatekeepers.
probably need to make a motion then.
motion to remain gatekeepers at $222,316.
Substitute motion. Gatekeepers at $200,084. And again, that's in keeping with our practice,
Okay.
our spotty practice of reducing by 10% the 2013
I'm going to
amount.
ask a question. How will that impact funding? What's the implications of those reductions, Allison?
We certainly use those funds to help support match to contracts and grants, or to the grants rather. And there's pretty limited staffing in there, so it would be a pretty sizable reduction in staffing.
Okay.
But does this mean that you wouldn't be able to apply for grants or fund grants?
We may have a reduction in some of our grants as a result of having not as much to match, and certainly a reduction in the amount of services we could provide through those programs.
Okay. Thanks, Allison. There's a substitute motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
What was the amount again? I'm sorry.
$200,084.
Okay.
And I am seconding.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Information technology and IT. The amount for $2,893,889. Where's Pat?
There is.
Pat, can you tell me just if we go along the lines of cut 5 or 10%, what does that mean for your department?
During the budget hearing, I did a presentation on what it would, how it would affect the IT department to have a 5% cut. And as we went through and looked at that, we found that that would remove our ability to purchase hardware, software, professional services, and a variety of other items that we use to support other departments. So basically, we would be keeping the lights on with things that we had, but our ability to provide replacement parts, replacement telephones, replacement PCs, additional wiring, all of that would go away. That would be the 5% cut. If we take a 10% cut, then we're going to have to start going into either contractual services or into support staff. It's maybe possible for us to absorb the additional 5% contractual services, but we'll have to very carefully take a look at that and see what maintenance contracts we could live without, and what kind of a risk that puts us at, and then balance that against the disruptions that would be caused by reducing staff.
The biggest portion of your request for increase was for tech refresh and
Yes,
PCs and that
for
sort of
personal
thing.
computers and the software to go with those. And keep in mind that that is something that has been deferred for the last several years. We're not talking about just the last year or so. This has been going on for 4 years now that we have not done a great deal of technology refreshment. So the pressure is going to increase or intensify as time goes by and additional equipment ages out, and we struggle to find ways of replacing that or getting it back up to speed. We do have the ability to throw old hardware back into service in some instances, but that can only be stretched so far. But that is one of the first items that we would have to obviously remove, is that 300,000 plus for computer technology refreshment. That's just that includes PCs, printers, UPS batteries, all of the other things that departments depend on to keep running and keep going.
Okay. Right.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Oblander, the budget again that you submitted really did not make any allocations for the virtualization project.
That's correct. Within the IT budget, that virtualization project is in the capital outlay.
That's in capital.
Mhm. The 250,
Yeah.
yeah.
So any cuts to your area would not affect that project.
It would have some impact. When you implement a project along the scale of the virtualization platform, there are probably going to be some ancillary expenses incurred. There may be some wiring that will have to be done, some electrical work that will have to be done. We're looking at possibly having to do some air conditioning enhancements in some areas. Those are things that come to light as you get into these projects and they happen. If we remove IT's, we could call it discretionary spending amounts, our ability to address those needs is impacted as well. So there's nothing factored into the capital outlay to cover some of those kinds of expenses if they occur.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to set the IT budget at $2,604,500.
Sorry, that number again?
$2,604,500. 2013 amount minus 10%.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer. Is there a second? That motion dies for lack of a second. Would move to cut that budget by a 5% reduction.
I would second a 5% reduction.
So motion by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no.
No.
Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Archer dissenting.
And again, this is an area where I would like to consider coming back to at some later point. I
Yeah.
just want to see what the overall impact is.
Sure. And IT
5% reduction
Yes.
from 13.
from 13. IT telephone. Pat, could you explain that? Sorry. It is, let me see here.
It's showing a reduction from 13.
It is showing the reduction. So the 165, 100 is what you're reflecting for IT telephone?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the requested amount for
Okay.
2014.
Tell me more what that is about, this line item.
What this line item
Yeah.
covers. This is the support for the telecommunication services for the county. And we cover the entire county with one individual providing most of the support. But this pays for all of the replacement items as we need them for telephone sets, pieces, interface cards for the PBX systems that we maintain in the courthouse, all the major locations. It also covers any wiring costs that we have for that, and of course, contractual services, what we're obligated to pay for maintenance.
Okay.
This includes the county, and we also support the Expo Center and the courts as well for telecommunication services.
Pat, in looking at the historic for the telephone, how did we go from a 85,000 to
Yeah,
175,000 in 1 year?
Question.
yeah.
I would have to pick up the line item budget for 2012 and 2013 to answer that exactly. but I think the biggest item in there is that we've been adding in amounts to cover what we need for the replacement of the voicemail system. But I'd like to get back with you on that and make sure that that's what that is. That was like an $86,000 hit.
So if we were to hold that item for right now so you can investigate that, would that be appropriate?
Yeah,
Okay.
let me verify that.
Yeah, because I think as far as in actual, the highest we had was 206,000. The lowest we've had is 81.
Mhm.
So, okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah, if
We
we can
get
hold
more
that.
information. And are we missing anything off of this page then? I don't
I've
have
got all
anymore.
checked.
So,
Yeah, I do
except
too.
for the, is the weed department at the bottom of this page?
It's, no,
Oh,
it's at the.
next page.
It's the next
bottom of this
page.
page. The request there was for 346,084. Entertain a,
I'm sorry, which one are you
motion,
looking at?
the weed
Oh,
department.
you are looking at weeds, okay.
I'll make a motion to have the weed department budget set at an even 200,000 for 2014.
Second.
So motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. There's the, I know we have a number of these departments that we still have questions on or we want to think about. We have not taken any action on the sheriff's budget yet.
If we could hold the sheriff, I see that the Parks and Rec personnel are
Mhm.
back, if we can take that up.
Has Tom Block made it yet either?
I
Oh,
saw
there you
him,
go.
yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Sorry, you're right.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Staff and I met over lunch down there, in that loud growling back there is because we didn't get to have any lunch. My stomach growling a little bit, but I know you, it's not that big a deal. I'll survive, I'm sure. We discussed what a 10% budget reduction from the 2013 what it would make the department look like. I think it's important that the commissioners know that facilities, how many, I'm not sure at this point, but facilities will close. Operational hours of the facilities that remain open will be reduced. Staffing levels will be reduced. The amount of programs, what programs we offer will be reduced. Also, the maintenance levels of the parks. I think it's important that you know that in 2013, the facility maintenance was folded into our budget and had about $606,000 worth of funds that were never given to Parks and Recreation to operate the facilities management. So we had a big cut last year. But probably the biggest thing that you need to know is a 10% aggregate cut to the Parks and Recreation funds will also result in a decrease in revenues. The monies the funds that we use to operate programs, those revenues that correspond to go along with those will be reduced as well. Over a lunch hour, I'm not able to give you much more detail than that. But I understand the situation. I've sat through several of these, and you've heard the same stories over and over again. So.
Commissioner Bueller.
Yes.
Madam Chair. But Mr. Knight, you would have within your department the ability to review or adjust fees for programs. What the cost is to play a round of golf may change. What the cost is to attend a summer camp could change. And what it costs to be part of a softball league could change. And that could be where that revenue, you're basing that, the revenues will decline based on what your current model is, not what revenue those fees may be going up to. And that's-
Yes, it's hard to raise fees, and that's why I couldn't do this over lunch hour. It's difficult to raise fees when their services may fall. If they go from playing 25-game softball season to a 24-game, and then have a resulting increase in fees to play those, that would be a hard sell, and we would probably lose steam, and the overall revenue would still fall. But yes, I didn't include any kind of fee increases because we hadn't been talking about revenues at all. But
Right, and I mean, if it costs $36 to be part of a shadow boxing class at Crestview, it might now be $56.
that's possible. And the revenues could, that dramatic of an increase in fees could also result in less participation as well, which would still, even though the fees went up, the revenue that come in would also go down.
And as part of the master plan, haven't you been going through our fees, and hasn't there already been kind of a preliminary analysis that our fees might be a little bit lower than what they could be?
I think that the fees, yeah, I would say that in many places that there are some fees that could be increased. I think that they're starting to find that out, as they're also finding out that there are several facilities or parks and facilities that we maintain that probably we shouldn't be maintaining. They're not, if it's not a park, it's not a park. So there are some of those kind of things, which takes a 6-7 month process through the master planning to come up with this. I feel kind of inadequate being able to try to do that same thing over a lunch hour.
But you would also have 4 months between the time a budget is proposed or passed before it's implemented.
Oh, regardless of the process of the budget, we analyze that stuff on a daily basis. We come to you guys, if I just because I have money in a budget to maintain something doesn't mean I'm going to come down here and keep maintaining it. If it makes financial sense in the middle of February, I'll come to you guys and think we should drop it.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Tom, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Mr. Commissioner, Tom Block again with Public Works and Solid Waste. I did get a chance to run back to my office over the noon hour and have come up with some revisions that would result in the aggregate number for Public Works being the $7,137,231. And these would be the numbers that I would propose, being those numbers for the 4 divisions. For 10 PW000, which is the administration and survey, and also federal funding or the funding match for federal funds of being $1,637,192. For 10 PW 126, which is our road maintenance fund, I'd recommend an amount of $3,531,396. For 10 PW 127, which is our bridge department, I recommend a number of $483,275. And for 10 PW 128, which is our equipment and fleet maintenance and garage, I would recommend keeping that number at the $1,485,368. And that total should amount to, again, $7,137,231.
Thank you, Tom. Other questions?
Commissioners, I would move to adopt the amounts that were just presented by Tom Block for those corresponding sections of Public Works.
Sure.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
You could give me a few minutes to make those
Sure,
changes.
sure.
saw
I
me.
think the top one,
The top one?
163, 7192 is supposed to be that.
Is the net, right,
Is that what you said? 1,637,119.
yeah, say the
Yeah.
first, so what was it?
1,637,192.
Okay. Tell me your amount one more time.
7,137,231.
Okay, I'm still off $38, but, so can you go over your amounts with me one more time? I got the first one. The second one was,
Second one was
300.
3,531,396.
okay,
Next one, 483,275.
okay,
The next one, 1,485,368.
6.8, there it is, okay. Transpose those.
We didn't take any action on IT telephone, did
I'm
we?
Okay, I'm ready now.
Pat may be coming back with actuals for IT telephone, but I'm gonna make a motion to set that amount at 100,000. We can always go back and plug in more,
Here.
but, you got it?
I did find the answer to your
Thank
first
you,
question
good.
about where the difference was between 2012 and 2013. I believe there's an error in the worksheet.
Okay,
I looked up the budget to actual for 2012 for telecommunications, and it was $155,632. And that was just, that'd be $20,000 less than what we asked, or what were allocated in 2013. That difference of 20,000 was due to a request we put in for replacement of fax machines. So I'm not sure where that 85,000 is coming from. Unless I'm, am I reading that correctly? This would be
682.
155, and I'm showing you have 175.
Well, this is for 2012.
Oh, okay, okay.
so the
But your
act,
actual payments were 83.
Oh, okay, that's what you were looking for there?
Your actual payments were 83 for 2012.
This number here was the
Oh.
actual,
And that's, yeah.
that's where that came from.
Well,
but do we have anything actual so far in 13?
Actual in 13 for telecommunications, 37,868.
And that's
Oh,
for
so
half a year?
far?
Yeah.
No,
that's
over
for,
half.
yeah, that's for 7.5 months.
So,
And we
I
budgeted
was-
175.
Yeah,
do you anticipate $80,000 worth of purchases in the next 3 months?
I do not have any planned purchases, but we're holding that in reserve so that when, or if we have that voicemail system go down, we're trying to keep that in there so that we can respond to that if we have to. But that 136,000 is, the remainder of that is what we'll also be depending upon to keep our other items going that have been cut to date. So we probably should take money out of this and move it over to the other accounts so that this one doesn't look overly inflated. But that's what we're trying to do, is keep things in reserve for what ifs, sort of contingency thinking.
But that is our purpose of the
contingency.
County funds.
Contingency fund.
Yeah, we've got 500,000 in contingency for countywide.
Countywide, yes.
I was originally thinking just a budgeted amount of 100,000, but I'm certainly open to discussion on reducing that amount.
I would move for an allocation of 80,000.
It's a motion by Commissioner
Second.
Cook. Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Pat.
Madam Chair,
Mhm.
if we could go to the sheriff.
Mhm.
I'll wait for,
Yes, thank you.
sorry.
It was 80,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
The sheriff?
And I have added in this the 416,133 that was budgeted in 13 for court security.
Okay.
That was down in court security on the 13 budget. Let's see, 416,133. I've included that in this amount. Wait, where did I included it in this amount here. That's why it is 416,000 more than 13 now.
Do we have any indication as to if there's going to be an amount left over at the end of the year by the sheriff that would be returned to the county, as there had been under prior administration?
I,
There for the Herman Jones, Shawnee County Sheriff there. Question to that is, we try and forecast of where we're gonna go with that right now. What we've been doing right now is just forecasting for any type of emergencies. As we know, any time that we may have an emergency such as maybe some crime scene or something that's gonna take in account for extra overtime for hours and those types of things right there, we try and give that kind of cushion or so. Presently, there's probably not going to be as much simply because the budget has been reduced over the years or so. I think in the past, we've been, it's been a good steward watching over those type of things. And the same thought process was because we have several more months to come through environmental type of elements and those type of things, simply that not happening. It was a mild winter, not until December of last year where we had something, but that kind of got carried over there. We were able to give something else back, but right now, probably not as significant as what it's been in the past, simply because of reductions.
Thank you.
let me comment on that also. When I was estimating my 2013 expenses, based on what has happened so far this year, and when I estimated my ending fund balance, I estimated that their actual expenses would be about 380 less than their budget, based on so far this year. So I have included that amount in this ending fund balance. So if that does not happen, then this balance will go down. It's kind of all.
Or up.
It's all gonna have to
Or
go
up,
down.
yes,
Right.
yes. And that was just based on, their expenditures so far through the year and estimating based on that.
Madam Chair, I do have a motion to, as to the sheriff, I would move that the sheriff's budget for 2014 be at this time $15,500,000 flat.
That would be an increase of,
$780,294.
And again, recognizing that this is a working budget for today.
I will make a substitute motion, and this is based in, and Commissioner Cook brought it up earlier about comparing with Douglas County and Sedgwick, and I'm looking at the sheriff's budget for Sedgwick County as 19.9%. The budget for Shawnee County, 15.79%, and the sheriff's budget for Douglas County, 6.42%. 6.42%. And having said that, I'll make a motion that we set the sheriff's budget at the 2013 level, $14,719,706.
is there a second to that motion? I'll second that motion at this time. To hold that in place, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 2-1. Commissioner Cook dissenting. This is, at this point in time, we can always add, we can always subtract until that time, so. Any further questions on our body of work today?
We have not addressed parks and, did we make a 10% reduction to parks and
Yes, we
recreation?
did.
Yes, we
Okay,
did.
all right.
We sure did.
And so
Yes, we
we are
did.
now at 4.965.
Yes, that's correct.
So Betty, if you could, if you could make us a sheet on legal, a
Yes.
little bit bigger print
Yes.
for me.
Now, do you want
Um,
this schedule here or this one here, just on
This is
legal?
all the action that we have taken
Yes.
today.
Okay.
Actually, we still have the extension council issue we need to talk about. But if we could get that to us.
Yes, I
And
will.
over the weekend, we will have the budget on the agenda for Monday and for Thursday, but I would look for us to adopt no later than Thursday. So, okay, all right. Rich, though, first the question on the extension council. Can you walk us through that? And I see Lori Chandler's here also.
Well, I had my staff looking at the issue. We currently have a disagreement between the clerk's office and my office, and I would feel
Okay.
better if we have a chance to,
To discuss, okay.
to unfluff the ruffles, so to speak.
Okay.
Since we're gonna come back and talk about this again on Monday,
Okay,
perhaps we can come back with a united front.
okay, all right. I appreciate that, thank you. Again, anyone wanting to offer comments, feel free to come to, you can make comments now if you would like, but you can also come to our meeting on Monday or Thursday. I don't see a need to schedule any additional budget workshops other than what we have scheduled for our regular meetings. So we have two more items, actually, administrative communications, correct?
Yes.
Are there any administrative communications?
Commissioners, Tom Block, Public Works and Solid Waste. I just wanted to report, as you're aware, we have a project going on Urish Road between 29th and 33rd. I've received indication today that project should be opened by the end of the day tomorrow. They finished all the asphalt earlier this week. They did the striping this morning. There was a downpour earlier this morning that may have caused a little bit of problem, but we don't think that should cause any delay. So it looks like the substantial completion, which was scheduled for tomorrow by contract, it looks like the contractor will meet it. There will be some final items that need to be completed as part of the contract, which they have, like seating and things like that, but the road, as of right now, unless something unanticipated occurs, it looks like it should be open by the end of the day tomorrow.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else under administrative communications? Next item,
Executive session?
is there a need for an executive session?
I'd like to have 10 minutes to discuss real estate with the county councilor.
Can we add attorney-client if there is any, and non-elected personnel if there is any?
For a period not to exceed 10 minutes, there is a motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook,
We may want to make that longer.
Yeah.
Or,
possibly.
And again,
oh, you're just covering all the bases?
I'm just covering
Oh,
all the
okay,
bases.
Okay, well, I misunderstood.
All those in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0, and no action is anticipated, so, thank you.